what I will say, Dad, because Demarai Gray has popped up, my favourite part of the first half, forget the goal, forget all the chances.
The defensive tackle.
Was him tracking back and putting his foot in.
I've got
And
as well.
that was a roar, not far off a goal being scored. And I love that down the Blues. We cheer a big challenge just as much as when a goal goes in.
So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. So this is the morning after the night before. We're filming just after we'd just beaten Sheffield United, knocked them out of the Carabao Cup 2-1 at St.Andrews at KnightheadPark in what was another dominant performance. And as always in this podcast, myself and Matt are going to discuss the match, give our thoughts on the performance and a few other bits and pieces. And I thought for a first round Carabao Cup tie, it was a good atmosphere as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Pretty much the Cop and Tilton was sold out, was it? Pretty much.
Yeah.
There was little pockets, but overall I thought
Individual areas.
for a round one cup game, I thought it was great.
16,000, I think.
16,000, yeah. And obviously the main stand was closed, the Upper Gilmerick was closed, so I thought we did a pretty good job of packing the place out the best we could. And overall, Dad, I thought we were absolutely fantastic. I thought we dominated the game. I thought we played some really good football from open play. The press was fantastic. We smothered them. We didn't let them play. Again, Chris Davis's DNA all over this team again, isn't it? And I think we played some lovely football. And I think Sheffield United fans alone are a testimony to last night, Dad. You know, I went on social media after the game and I saw some quotes, and a lot of them were saying we should have been 4-0 down at half time.
Yeah.
And one of the most liked Sheffield United posts from last night, Dad, was, what on earth has happened to us getting completely played off the park by Birmingham? It wasn't even close. Get these American donkeys out of my club. So I think there is an acknowledgement that clearly we were the better team, we dominated, but also behind the scenes, they're clearly not very happy with their owners, are they?
Yeah, I think that's a good assessment of the game, Matt, really. But what you mentioned the word there, work rate and press, and that is the most impressive thing, you know, and that's what we're suffocating teams, you know, so we're not giving them time on the ball. And that amount of times in that game last night that we won the ball back and actually broke up their play was absolutely phenomenal. Now, Chris Davis made 6 changes. Now, I read some. I've also read social media. Some of the Sheffield United fans saying, "No, let's not worry about that." You know, we played our second team. Birmingham played their first team, but there couldn't be anything further from the truth. No. They had some good players in their team. In fact, actually, I'll go for some of their team in a minute. But we made 6 changes to the team that started against Ipswich. Obviously, Beadle came in goal. Cashin came in. Ethan Laird came back. We had Mark Leonard came in, Williamson came in, and we had Tommy Doyle as well start, who I thought was excellent. We'll come on to him in a minute. Yeah. So we made 6 changes, but what I think it shows is that, you know, Sheffield United are talking about a second string. We're talking about changes are just as good as our first string. Mm-hmm. So actually, the difference it wasn't that they played their second string and we played our first. Yeah. We just got a quality squad.
Also, it was the same excuses with Ipswich fans. They were saying, we're waiting for players to come back, or it's not our full strength team. Well, that shows a lack of depth.
Yes.
If you haven't got quality to come off the bench or substitute when you have injuries or suspensions, or we're in the transfer market, players are speculated to leave. If you haven't got that depth, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is Ipswich kind of wore it as an excuse as to why it was a 1-1. Sheffield United fans have kind of ring the alarm bell a little bit as to say we need players in and we need them in quickly. And to me, Dad, when I looked at Sheffield United last night, that was not the team that played in the playoff final against Sunderland. That has got some gaping holes in it, which I'm sure Sheffield United fans agree with. They need to get some recruitment in. But what I'd say, Dad, is we've drew 1-1 against Ipswich. We've beaten Sheffield United in the Cup. These aren't your average Championship teams. As in, Ipswich came down from the Premier League last season. Sheffield United were in the playoff final. And we're making them look mediocre.
Yeah.
We're playing class teams and we're playing them off the park. And fair enough, Ipswich can say they had injuries and it wasn't their full-strength squad. And Sheffield United can say it wasn't our full-strength squad. But it wasn't ours either.
No, that's the point I made.
And we're still playing quality and we're playing these teams off the park, I would say. But I think Ipswich was a bit closer in terms of, we didn't create as many chances as we did against Sheffield United. But we should have been 4-5-0 up against Sheffield United.
Oh, yeah.
At half-time.
Yeah. But I think there's a lesson there, Matt, as well, because I felt as well that, you always feel when you're 1 goal ahead, and this is what we had last season as well for large parts, when you're 1 goal up and you're dominating the game, if you're not clinical, you've always leave the door open for the team to score we'll come on to that goal in a minute, whether it should or shouldn't have been allowed, but it was a wonder goal from Hamer. But we allowed them to have that chance because we was only 1-0 up. If we make it 2-0, suddenly the task becomes a lot better and we're all a bit more comfortable.
I think a lot of Blues fans, Dad, are saying it almost feels weird to be picky about last night because it was a phenomenal performance by the majority of players last night. It really was a great team effort. But if we are going to pick one thing to improve on, it's to put teams away earlier, isn't it? We have to put the ball in the net. But I'm encouraged. I think this will come. You got to remember, we've had a few players through the door. Kyogo is just settling in as well. I think his movement and he's
brilliant.
He's a phenomenal player.
He should have had a hat-trick last night.
He will get sharper. He will get better. And also the players around him, Demarai Gray, Tommy Doyle, Paik and Awata are still going to get used to that movement and that attacking line. And when that does start to click a little bit more, I think we're going to score a serious amount of goals. But I'm encouraged. I think that will come with time. But you're right, Dad. We need to put teams away. Because if we're at Blackburn on Saturday and we're 1-0 up, all it could take is a 90th minute corner for them to get the 1-1.
Well, like Ipswich, we were dominating that game and they got a very dubious penalty because the referee gave a really, really poor decision. And that dropped us 2 points and got a point for Ipswich. So that can happen in football. But if you're 2-0 up or winning by 2 goals, you've got a bit of buffer. And this is where we've got to become more comfortable, more clinical. I think, based upon what I'm seeing in the first 2 games, I think we're going to score a bag full of goals this season.
Agreed.
I think we're going to be quite prolific up front. And don't forget, we got Marvin Dukes to come back to come into the team when he's fit as well. I noticed as well that Fujimoto was on the bench. He didn't come on, but he was on the bench. So they're starting to integrate him into the first team. But one thing, two notable absentees were Bielek and Samstead. They weren't even on the bench. Yeah. And I think that maybe tells a bit of a story that they're possibly, they might be looking to do something with them in the transfer window.
Yeah. In my opinion, I don't think we'll sell Bielek until another defender comes through the door, because I feel like then if Bielek does go, we wouldn't be light in defence, but it would worry me if we picked up a couple of injuries.
Yeah.
So I think Ben Davies might come through the door, or someone might come through the door of that calibre, and if Bielek wants to leave. But apparently there's 4 Championship clubs interested in Bielek.
Oh, there will be. He's a good player. I mean, there will be, and we'll get a fee for him as well. But it's.
I want to stay personally for what it's worth.
I do, but I think for him and where he is in his career, don't forget he hasn't played for Poland for a long time. He was a Polish international, and he needs to play regular football.
It's an international year as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and he'd have to have an outstanding season if he's with us or wherever he goes to get into that Polish team. So it's a bit of a long shot for him, but he ain't going to get that sitting on our bench. No. And I think it's about him, isn't it? Really, but I mean, let's just to talk about. I'm not going to go chronologically through the game, but let's talk about the first half.
Before we do that, I just want to give a shout out to a Blues fan behind me who threw me back to an Alan Partridge sketch. There was a guy behind us before the game started. He was going, Dan. He was in that famous Alan Partridge sketch. Oh my God, it was hilarious. I literally reminded me of that sketch. It was so funny. And then he went at the end. I don't think he can see me. It was literally like the Alan Partridge sketch. It really made me laugh. But anyway, Blues fans, you never fail to make me laugh.
And we had that just something else on that. We had half time happened, and then the second half. As everyone was getting to their seats, ready for the first half, we had some bloke come down the steps, didn't he? And he said something like, "How did I get here?" He said, "I'm sitting over there."
This gentleman had clearly had a bit of pop.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "How did I get over here?" And that's the polite way of putting it. He was swearing his head off. But yeah, and he goes, "I gotta go all the way over there." It was so funny.
That made me laugh.
That actually happens more than you think. People lose their seats and they go, "How did I get here?"
Yeah.
But you're in a football stadium. I mean, you can't go too far from the seat, can you? Anyway.
No, I suppose not.
But let's get back to the game, Dad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first half, we were just talking about it generally. I mean, we were completely dominant in that first half, and obviously that's where we'll talk about the goal in a minute, and because that was very early. But right from the off, really, we really set our stall out. Now, when you look at the Sheffield United team last night, there's some, their starting lineup. They had Callum O'Hare was in the starting lineup, Tom Cannon was in the starting lineup, Yukaki was in there, and then they had that new player Demarai as well. There's a lot of noise about him as well. I mean, he's at number 18 who gave was it Cochrane or somebody a bit of
Tommy Doyle?
Tommy Doyle, yeah. And obviously he got found out for that, didn't he as well? So Robinson, their captain, was starting as well, and on the bench had a really strong bench as well. So you can't. That I think proportionally they made the same amount of changes as we did. So those teams compared to the teams that started in their first league games were very proportionally the same, because we made a similar amount of changes than they did. So there's no first team, second team excuse here. They're basically two. So we just have a stronger squad.
No, exactly. Because if you think about that, we were missing Neumann, Paik, Asoy Samuel. I mean, some of these players came on off the bench in the second half.
Let me read our bench. This is our bench. This is Birmingham City's bench. Allsop, Asoy Samuel, Neumann, Paik, Taylor Garden, Hitman, Fujimoto, Anderson, Dykes and Stansfield.
It's mad, isn't it?
I mean, that is a team in itself, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's great, and that's not accounting for the players who are already on the pitch. No. Yes, so going back to the game, the first half, I thought we started very well, and we had a few chances. We should have been ahead within 2 minutes, and the Tomidor corner came over, and Kyogo just directed it. Yeah, just directed it, glanced it wide. And that was within 3 minutes. But of course, the goal came shortly after that. One player I was really impressed with, Matt, was Demarai Gray.
Yeah,
I thought that not just. I mean, we'll talk about the goal. Let's talk about the goal. Then we'll talk about his overall contribution before he was substituted. But the goal, obviously there was a bit of the ball was on the left-hand side, and there was a bit of a sort of a pinball between players, and he lost the ball, but he went straight at in attack to go and put some pressure on the defender.
Yeah.
And of course, the defender made a very sort of weak pass to the goalkeeper, and because of his pace, he nipped it, and it's a beautiful little just ding, just so the goalkeeper wouldn't get it.
That's pressure.
Yeah.
That's pace.
Yeah.
That's what fast wingers give you.
Yeah.
And we've banged the drum, haven't we, Dad, about wingers, about getting some speed up there.
Yeah.
This is what Demarai Gray gives you, and those kind of players give you.
Yeah.
I don't think if we would have had anyone else bar Demarai Gray in that situation, he probably wouldn't have been a goal because he's that quick.
Yeah.
And what I will say, Dad, because Demarai Gray has popped up, my favourite part of the first half, forget the goal, forget all the chances,
The defensive tackle
was him tracking back and putting his foot in.
And
that was a roar, not far off a goal being scored. And I love that down the Blues. We cheer a big challenge just as much as when a goal goes in.
That's what Chris Davies says in his post-match interview, didn't he? He said he tells the players that, you'll get the adulation for scoring goals. He said, but the fans will give you as big a cheer for a defensive tackle. Yeah. And that was a massive challenge.
He tracked back, his pace again.
Slipped through.
Big challenge.
That was very, very impressive. And that's another reason why I think that, he's showing his qualities and characteristics. But, what a finish from Kyogo for the first goal. But you know what? They all count, don't they? Tapping. Yes, that's the thing. His positional sense, isn't it? So he anticipated that would happen. And it was. Obviously, it was tapping, but they all count.
And that's where he excels for me, is his movement.
Yeah.
And we are starting to be a bit more brave picking him out. I am noticing players trying to pick Kyogo out a little bit more. I think Chris Davies has said to them on the training ground this pitch, look, this guy is making some phenomenal runs. We need to try and pick him out a little bit more. Because if we do, coming back to our previous point, we're going to score a serious amount of goals this season because he's a nuisance.
Yeah, and him and Stansfield up front. You wouldn't want to be a defender with them two, would you? Because they're both so rapid.
Yeah.
I mean, Stansfield's work rate. I mean, he came on, didn't he? Every time you watch him, you got to think, oh my word, he's an engine, isn't he?
He must just live on a treadmill, mustn't he? His fitness levels are off the.
Yeah, and I think everybody judges Jay by his goals, but actually, Blues fans who really know him love him because it's not just the goals; it's his overall contribution and the amount of errors he forces off other players. And I love his. He's got that edge as well. That aggression.
Grittiness. He got booked last night for dissent.
I know.
But sometimes I know this might sound really stupid. Sometimes I don't mind that because you have to put pressure on the referee sometimes, and that referee, we'll come on to in a minute, wasn't getting his cards out of his pocket. No. And I think Stansfield had enough.
Yeah.
And I think he got booked. I think I could have got this wrong. I think Hamer scored, and because it hit the ref, I think Stansfield was frustrated that the goal shouldn't have been allowed or something like that. But anyway, we'll come on to that in a minute.
But yeah, and rightly so, and you would be because like you're dominating a game, you're 1-0 up, and then something like that happens. Yeah, we'll come on to that because I just want to talk about the other Kyogo chance when he robbed the ball off Louis Marsh and went through 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. He sort of did everything right in terms of what but obviously I think what he tried to do was dink it over the goalkeeper, and it went completely wrong, didn't it? I think when Kyogo is up to full speed, they're going to be going in. They are.
To me, Dad, when he was through on goal, it reminded me of like an Alfie May chance, like that one-on-one with the keeper.
Oh, yeah.
And I think when Kyogo gets to full fitness, we'll see that kind of clinical number 9 kind of finish in that scenario. As you said, we've got to remember that he's getting up to match fitness. He's getting up, getting used to this squad, getting used to how we play. So when that time comes, when he's in his element and he's starting to hit a little bit of a purple patch, those goals will go in 9 times out of 10 for me. Yeah,
actually, just a bit of a correction there. That chance where he robbed Louis Marsh was a little bit earlier than the 1-on-1. So he robbed it, and then he sort of went to he got the ball off Louis Marsh, and then he. Basically smashed the ball and dragged it.
To be fair, I think the keeper did quite well.
Yeah, but on the 1-on-1, which came soon after, that's where he got. He took the ball off a player called Sas Nukas, who was their defender. He robbed the ball off him near the halfway line and then went through, and that's when he dinked it and missed it. But yeah, we were 1-0 up and cruising really, and then but that we're playing quality teams now.
Yeah.
And Sheffield United had a chance where they hit the post as well.
They did.
So that is where
That's
Tom
kind of
Cannon.
like a warning shot, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it only hit the post as well because he got a deflection because he went out for a corner. And that was Tom Cannon, and Beagle was just standing there because there's literally nothing he could do.
No.
And obviously that's the margins that you're working to now, isn't it? So that would have been a bit of a downer. But again, I've got that note that you've already mentioned, so I'm not going to dwell on it. But Demarai Gray running back 80 yards to do that tackle.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
it really was amazing. And I just want to give a shout out to Laird as well. Dad, fair play to him because he got player of the match. I thought he had a fantastic game. We've got Asoy Samuel coming for competition with Laird. Asoy Samuel gets player of the match against Ipswich. Laird comes in and gets player of the match against Sheffield United. It's like, he's rising to the challenge, isn't he, of having competition at the right back space. I mean, have we arguably got two of the best right backs in the league? I think
without a doubt.
They are both.
Without a doubt.
They are both fantastic, aren't they?
They really are. And I agree with you. I think Laird was excellent, and I think having Asoy Samuel there now as well is going to make him even better. And I just love Ethan Laird, and I love the competition because Brighter say Samuel's coming, and he is a top quality.
They're both
player.
class, and I like them both equally. I really do. I mean, Asoy Samuel has surprised me. Yeah. If I'm being brutally honest, I didn't think he was going to be as good as what he's shown us in these first couple of games. But Laird is still holding his own. He's a class player, and I'm really happy for him because
he had a goal. Then I don't know what happened. Well, I sort of do know what happened. Obviously, the corner came across, but the referee blew because he saw
when the ball's in play though.
Yeah.
So when the ball's in play, so when the corner comes in, when the ball's been kicked, you can't retake the corner. It's either a goal to Blues or a foul to Sheffield United. Yeah. It's one of those two.
But he didn't.
He gave a retake.
Yeah, but
and that's why Cochrane was going mad at the assistant ref.
Yeah, and the referee argued. Yeah, yes, he was, wasn't he?
He was
down in that corner.
Because he didn't get it. He was like, no, it's either a goal for Blues or a foul for Sheffield United. I'm not taking the corner again.
Oh, it's a shame I didn't count.
The ball was in play
again. Like he jumped up like the mountain goat, didn't he? Straight into the corner, and it's a good goal. Yeah. But obviously, the referee's argument was, well,
but he should have blew before the ball's back in play. That's the problem. So he's blew when the ball's in play. So at that point, you can't give a corner again. It's either a goal or a foul to Sheffield United. You have to pick one. But anyway, he blew and decided to make his own rules up and gave another corner. And but again, Dad, I thought I'm not going to dwell on it because I feel like we won the game. We dominated the game and we won. We were through to the next round. But again, in my opinion, the ref was awful.
Again, yeah, but I hope we're not going to be. This isn't going to be a theme.
No, we'll spend a minute on it and then we'll move forward.
But yeah, and I agree. You turned around to me and said he's left his cards at home because some of their tackling in the first half warranted cards. I mean, they only booked one player of theirs. He only booked Robinson, their captain, didn't
That's
he?
for decking Kyogo. Yeah. Although Kyogo made a meal of it.
But there was a few tackles. I mean, Samani should have been booked for the tackle and the aggression against Doyle.
Yeah.
And he ended up having a word with Doyle.
I know.
I mean, I don't get that anyway, but that's the referee. But I think it was going so badly for Sheffield United that
frustrated, weren't they?
Ruben Sellers he brought on Peck for Callum O'Hare at half time, and then he made 3 changes in the 55th minute. So he brought on Hamer, Bindon, and Torres Campbell. So Sheffield United fans are saying to us that we're playing against their second. You're telling me they're second string players as well. I just don't like that excuse, because it's very comparable in terms of the changes that both teams.
But
make.
Sheffield United don't know anything about Blues. That's comment that came from a fan who doesn't know the Blue side.
Yeah.
So they're thinking we've played our first full strength squad, but we haven't.
Yeah.
I'd say not even close half.
I mean, we played them off the park. To be fair, I mean, it was a 2-1 demolition in my opinion. But at the end of the day, it's a cup game. It's all about scoring more goals and going through to the next round, and that's exactly what we did. But then we've got to talk about their goal, Matt. And do you want to just talk about the goal in terms of?
It was obviously a little bit scrappy for a minute in the middle of the park, weren't it? It was bobbling around a little bit. It clearly takes a nick off the ref. We then have it, but then it kind of like fumbles from the ref, I think, to one of our players back to Hamer, and then Hamer, of course, delivers an absolute screamer. And by the way, before we talk about the ref, before we talk about anything else, what a goal! Yeah, we can't deny that. It was fantastic. I mean.
I don't care which goalkeeper you are. You do not get beaten from 60 yards. And again, this is not a sort of like let's point at Beadle, but 60 yards for any guy, it's embarrassing. To get beaten by. But it was a good goal.
Why can't we just say that was a class strike? I get it. Everyone kind of sometimes wants a little bit of a scapegoat and someone to. And I think at that point we were frustrated, weren't we?
Yeah.
Because we were so it was 1-0. We were dominating the game. They scored, and I think it's natural to kind of maybe point the finger or look at excuses. But
Well, let me make one thing clear, Matt, before we move on as well. I thought Beadle had a really good game, apart from that thing. I thought his distribution was good. I thought he cleared the ball when he needed to. He so there was nothing wrong with his overall performance. I'm just talking about, just that one instance that could potentially have costed the game. I think we just had to be a little bit maybe aware that could potentially happen. But I agree, it's difficult as a goalkeeper because, you're sort of expected nowadays to not be on your line anymore. You've got to be part of the build-up. So I understand that there's mitigating circumstances. I just think it was a bit disappointing that a player can just score from 60 yards. Yeah, and what a strike, what a goal. And we can't take that away from Hamer. It was a really, really good goal. But I think overall, I think Beadle actually had a good game. And that might sound silly compared to what I've just said, but if you look at his overall game, I thought he was actually very good.
I agree. Yeah. No, I thought he had a good game. And of course, when that goal goes in, naturally on social media, it's the new Peacock foul, it's this. I thought, that's a complete overreaction. He did have a good game.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes for me, I'm going to look at that instance and go, yes, could he do better? Absolutely. But it was a worldie.
That's the point I'm making.
Yeah. It was a worldie. Let's take nothing away from that.
But should he have been allowed?
I'm going to point that to you. What do you think that as a former referee?
Well, the laws of the game say that if it hits the referee and the referee is sort of therefore affecting play, it should be a drop ball. It should be a drop ball, and that's what should have happened. And also, as well, what made it difficult for Beadle and another mitigating circumstances is that the ball came out of nowhere because there was a melee of players, including the referee, in front of it, and Hamer just strikes it. So actually, so Beadle's not expecting it, and maybe his mind's expecting that we're going to get a free kick. I don't know, but I'm a Sheffield United fan. Say I'm biased because I'm a Blues fan, but yeah, as an ex-referee, if you apply the laws of the game as they should, that should have been a drop ball. That should not have been allowed. Chris Davis was absolutely fuming.
Oh, but
I watched him on the top. I thought someone's going to have to hold him back.
He was barking,
oh my word, he went absolutely nuts, and rightly so, because he must be in his mind. He's thinking, well, look what happened against Ipswich, and now the same thing's happened again. We're going to be done by a refereeing decision here.
Yeah.
And it had Ipswich written all over it at that point, didn't it? Because you felt the same. We dominated, played well, and now they've got a.
I do agree with you, Dad. It did feel similar to Ipswich in that regard, in the sentiment of we've equalised late again. But something about this game made me think we can still go on to win this.
Yeah.
Because we were so dominant and we were creating so many chances. There was something in the back of my mind for the first time in a while where I thought, we're going to score again here. I felt it building.
Yeah.
As it was, we go on to get that second Stansfield goal, Dad. So do you want to talk us through that one?
That was a good goal. Now, I thought it was right down our end, right down the Tilton end, and I thought we'd overplayed it because we were playing like these balls. It was, I think Cochrane started it off, and then he dinked the ball over to Williamson, who actually laid it, or not, was it a chest or whatever, but he laid it back to Stano. Now, what was clever about it, what got the goal was Stano's turn.
Yeah.
His turn gave him the space to shoot.
I think Williamson deserved a little bit of credit because he could have shot or he could have panicked.
Yeah.
But actually, he stayed calm. He played in Stansfield. As you say, brilliant turn. I think it takes a bit of a deflection on the way through, don't it? But either way, it happens.
Oh, we deserved it, though. I mean, that was really karma, really, because we needed to get that goal because we deserved to win. As you know, in the Carling Cup, if it's level after 90 minutes, it would go straight to penalties.
Yeah.
And we was about 3 or 4 minutes away from that. And I think in my mind, I thought, oh no, this is going to go to penalties, but it didn't. And I got the Stansfield got the goal and we're 2-1, and we fully deserved it. I know Tom Williamson. I thought as well in the first half, he showed a little bit of pace that I hadn't seen before. He burst through a few times. I thought that he's playing. I thought he'd had a decent game, particularly in the first half. But one thing I will say about him, and one thing he needs to stop doing, he dwells on the ball too much.
It slows us down, don't it?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So if the ball's going fast, he will slow the tempo slowly. But I think overall that, particularly in the first half, I thought he was actually okay.
I thought he showed us glimpses the player that we saw pre-Christmas last season. And that's encouraging because we were playing better opposition, so we weren't playing League One football anymore. So I think my conclusion on Williamson was he showed us glimpses of the player he can be. I thought he had an all right game. And, I agree, Dad. Sometimes are on the break or we're building up from the back, and when it hits Williamson, it just slows down.
Yeah.
Just keep the momentum going, keep it pushing.
Yeah,
but apart
yeah.
from that, Dad, I've got nothing really bad to say about Williamson. I thought he had a decent game.
But he's got a massive fight on his hands to get in this team, which is good. It's good because if he wants to actually become a regular in the team, he's got to show Chris Davis what he can do. Exactly. I thought we saw little glimpses of it. I know he gets highly criticised in certain instances, in certain quarters, but I thought he showed a little bit of improvements in that game as well. Yeah. But my biggest disappointment of the whole game, if I'm honest, 30 minutes before kick-off, they ran out of Balti pies. Can you believe that? 30 minutes, not half-time, 30 minutes before kick-off, they ran out of Balti pies. Yeah. My daughter was not happy. Get that right, will you, please? No, in all seriousness, I think the overall experience was good. It didn't feel like a first-round Carabao Cup tie.
No, it didn't.
It felt like, the atmosphere, the atmosphere was good.
I think that's credit to the opposition. Sheffield United are a decent team, aren't they? Yeah. So I think when you're playing, good opposition, it helps with the atmosphere. It helps with that sort of excitement, a bit more of a spectacle, I guess. And as I said, the crowd was good, and I thought overall that it was a fantastic performance, which sets us up nicely for the Blackburn game this weekend. Just a few real final notes for me, because I know we mentioned it earlier, but we didn't go into detail. Tommy Doyle, fantastic. Yeah. His link-up play, his little touches, his little flicks, the way he links the defence to the attack.
Excellent.
He's usually a 6. He plays in the defensive midfield, the holding midfielders, but actually Chris Davis quite fancies him in the 10. And if he's happy in the 10, I think his style, the way he plays, suits a number 10. I really do. I think he's a great player. I thought Paik, when he came on again, looks levels above everyone. I think Paik seems to just be getting better and better every game he puts a blue shirt on. I think he's fantastic. I think Iwata deserves a shout-out again because that aggression, that break-up play. But what I will highlight, Dad, Clara obviously played, and he played at the weekend, but I understand that because he's the captain and you want that little bit of leadership and steadiness. Yeah. I think Iwata played because we don't have many more defensive midfielder options. I think we arguably need another defensive midfielder for if Iwata gets suspended or injured maybe. And you've mentioned Demarai Gray, we've mentioned Laird. I mean, overall, that I thought everyone had a good game. It was a fantastic performance, really good to see. And for me, more the same, please, Blues, at the weekend.
One final mention, and you turned around to me in the game and said this, but Cashin as well.
Yes, Cashin.
You was impressed with him, wasn't you?
You could name.
Yeah, he did well, didn't he? Because what you said about him to me, you said you love the way he always tries to play the ball forward.
Yes, yeah.
He's always looking for that forward option. So and
Cochrane as well.
go for the whole team.
Solid as always.
Yeah. I think overall, that's what we think, Blues fans. Sheffield United, I think they were poor. I think their fans acknowledge that. But we, have played now Ipswich and Sheffield United, two really high quality teams, and effectively played both of them off the park. So all the signs are good for Birmingham City. But as always, we'd love to know your thoughts. So if you're a Birmingham City supporter, or even Sheffield United, if you're a Sheffield United fan that's found this podcast for the first time, or you've found us before, pop a comment below and let us know. As always, we always mention that if you are going to leave a comment, please make it respectful. We don't allow any swearing or abusive language or anything like that, but anything else, please add your comments below. If you did like this podcast, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, you'll also find us on there, and you'll see the handles appearing on the screen for all of these right now. If you haven't subscribed already and you'd like to, and there's absolutely no obligation to subscribe, but if you do want to subscribe, hit the big red subscribe button. And if you press that little bell icon next to the subscribe button, you'll get notifications every time we put a new podcast out. So that's it for this one. Looking forward to the next one. We're off to Blackburn on Saturday, and we will do a post-match podcast on that when we return from that game. So thank you for watching, and myself and Matt will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.